I tell you what, I just don't know what's going on in the world today, you see. I just don't know what's going on in the world today. So, you know, I'm at work and we're trying to put gas in this car, right? And this cat's telling me that you can't put gas into the car while it's running. Because if there's a spark, I guess there's gonna be a fire or an explosion or something. And I'm like, what? What? Are you serious? You see, the big problem, I don't know in this country if it's stupid people or if it's just ignorant people. And there's a difference, because these stupid people are people who are stupid. They can't learn. And there's ignorant people who just haven't learned something. It's a state of not knowing, of not having been taught. There's no reflection on your intelligence. It just means you haven't been taught. Well, at any rate, so I'm talking to this cat, and he's like, turn the car off before you start pumping the gas, because if there's a spark, you and I are going to go up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Really? You really think that's going to happen? Well, we need to put a half a tank of gas into this car, and just a half a tank. Now, how are we going to know that unless we're watching the needle move? But first of all, what makes you think that the car is going to blow up if the car is running while we're pumping the gas? That's just what I've always been taught. I say, well, let me tell you something. The only way that there's going to be flames coming out of this gas tank is if you take a lit cigarette and throw it in the gas tank. Or if you poke a flamethrower in there and turn it on high and jam all that flame down in there. You know, it's people. Some of the guys in this world today are such girls. They're just like, what are they, emasculated or effeminate, or what is it? But either way, it's like you've got no chance whatsoever of having this occur. It doesn't happen. I've been doing it for 2.5 years, and I've never blown up or gone up in flames as a result of it. And these are the same types of people, you see. These are the same types of people who put the emergency brake up, pull it up on their car when they're parked on a flat level surface. Do you know why you set your emergency brake on your car? When you're working on it, man. You set the emergency brake on your car when you're working on it, man. It just doesn't make any sense at all to me. You know, people put their emergency brake on just because of a force of habit. There's no reason to. I park my car on a slight angle all the time, and I don't set my emergency brake. It's not necessary. The main primary reason why you have an emergency brake is if you're parked on a steep incline, or if you're working on your car, or if you're changing the tire that's blown to put a spare on it. That's the only way you put your emergency brake on, is to make sure that the car doesn't roll off the jack. And even then, you should have a couple of chalk blocks, one in front of the tire on the opposite side and one on the rear tire. You know, these are the same clowns that just don't understand what's going on in the world today. It's like this one cat I talked to one time said something like, hey man, I hear you work on cars, man. I know you work on cars. He's like, have you ever replaced your struts before? And I said, yeah, I have replaced my struts before. He said, yeah man, I could use some help with mine. I've been thinking about replacing my rear struts, but I had a bad experience with it, right? And I said, well, what was your bad experience? I says, well, he says, I had an uncle who tried to work on his rear struts on his car, and something happened during the process, and something broke. I guess the gas or something happened within the strut, and it ended up killing his uncle. And so he thinks that because this happened to his uncle, that it's going to happen to him. So he wants help from me. And I said, I did it by myself with a scissor jack. You hear me? Not a jack that you will actually get a floor jack from an auto parts store, man. I used a blooming scissor jack, and I left the thing out overnight. Okay? And I did it all by myself. You see? And so he thinks that because this happened to his uncle, that it's going to happen to him. And so he wants my help. And so I told him I'll go ahead and help him. And then that wasn't enough for him. He thinks that even if I'm helping him, that something's going to happen to him because it happened to his uncle. I don't know what's going on in the world today. It's like we've got a bunch of girls in the world today going around masquerading as men. And you know, the only thing that got damaged when I did that job was the scissor jack. Because when you leave your 1.5 ton car on top of a raggedy scissor jack overnight, it's going to bend it out of shape. So the problem with it was it didn't close all the way. But you know what? I still use that scissor jack at least 10 times after that happened to do tire rotations on my car. Can you believe this now? I mean, I just don't get it. What is going on in the world today? We have got a bunch of girls in this world today. So anyway, there's just no end to the stupidity and the nonsense in the world today. I just don't get it. I don't understand why there's so many people in this world who are scared of everything, who are scared of doing anything, who are so poorly educated, you know. So anyway, moving right along to the next thing.